Hey guys, in this week's video for Insight, we're going to begin going deeper into the concept of grounding. And I want you to imagine for a moment that you're in an audience and you're about to listen to two different speakers. The first one walks up on stage, nervous, timid. They get to the pulpit, they open up their piece of paper, spread it out, begin to read their talk from their notes in kind of a monotone voice and hardly ever looks out at the audience. The second one walks up casual and relaxed without notes and walks up to the pulpit, stands there, looks out, maybe sighs, and kind of speaks to whatever is in the room, in the space. And it feels a bit more like they're having a conversation with you in the audience rather than you're being spoken to. Okay. My guess is that for most of you, if not all of you, you've experienced both types of speakers in your lifetime. And for you, what's your experience of those? And what do you notice about, grounding? Because for one of those speakers, the ground that they stand on feels a little bit more solid, and the other one, it feels a little bit more shaky. So for the past several weeks, we've been going deeper into the concept of quiet listening. And when we began, I told you that I believed that this concept would help you get more leverage with your team and your clients than almost anything else. And as we've been exploring quiet listening and you've been practicing it, I think many of you are reporting that you're experiencing miracles, and that seems to be the case for you. So just like with quiet listening, however, grounding is the same way. It won't work if you apply it as a strategy or a tool in order to get leverage, in order to be more impactful. It won't work as a prescription to get something. What I'm offering it here as is more of a description of a way of being that allows us as leaders and coaches to have a significant more impact with our clients, our team members, and everybody, our family as well, everybody that we encounter. So given that, we're looking at something, we're trying to put words to something that you absolutely can't put words to. But in putting words, we're going to kind of construct an arrow that will hopefully point to something that as you look beyond, the more you see about this, the deeper and deeper your grounding you'll feel that steady ground, whether you're on a stage, in a one-on-one with a client, in an enrollment conversation, or handling something with a team member, right? And so the first thing that I want to kind of offer here is that, grounding, a deep sense of grounding is innate. It's your baseline. It's your pure, authentic self. It is who you are before your personal thought matrix. Okay, and so given that, it's important to realize this, because there's nothing that you need to do to get it, to be able to have access to it. It's more kind of this concept of via negativa, where it's sort of removing the things that are in the way, the interference, right? And so as we explore this concept and notice things about it, keep that in mind, that you already have a deep sense of grounding. Now, what we're going to be looking in particular at this grounding is what helps deepen your grounding in leadership and coaching, right? Because, and this is what we talked about in our call this week, is that our impact as leaders and coaches has a lot more to do with how we see the world than it does to do with our coaching skills, right? So when a team member or a client comes to us with an issue that seems really big to them, and maybe it is, maybe they just lost like $1 million account. But when we have a bigger perspective of what is really so, and the illusion that looks real to them doesn't look as real to us, they feel that. And it helps them bust through their thinking matrix that is holding them stuck in this one level of consciousness. I shared with you in this group's call this, Michael Neal's story that he shares, where, his coach at the time, Steve Hardison, he says, this is the story. He says, story of how Steve Hardison's cocked eyebrow made him $1 million. right? Because when he went to work with him, and he kind of just, scoffed off his goal of making $1 million and thought it was just, it's been on my goal list. It's forever. It's probably never going to happen. He says Steve cocked his eyebrow and didn't say a single thing. They didn't have a conversation about it, but something on a deeper level with Michael, he realized, oh, that doesn't seem crazy to him. And on a deeper level, like that's all that had to happen for him, for his paradigm to shift. The more you have access to this innate grounding of your authentic self, the more you see, because your authentic self is what's behind your personal thought matrix is pure consciousness. And pure consciousness is truth and love. It sees the truth of all things. And you cannot see the truth of something and feel insecure at the same time. It's impossible. You can only feel insecure when you're in the illusion of something. Okay. And so the more of your access to this innate grounding that you have, so the deeper you're grounding in it, the more immediate you can respond to situations in life and business from a place of truth and love rather than insecurity. Okay. And, so when somebody comes to you with something that seems like a big deal, and maybe it's a big deal to you, maybe it's something, maybe, a client comes to you and says, hey, I'm not satisfied with our work here. I'm not getting what I, thought I paid you for. If you can, I've had coaches actually where we've had some of these conversations, and because they had such deep grounding, we were able to create a new container for our coaching rather than, well, I'm sorry, having a refund conversation. It's like, no, what's really here? So if we don't let our insecurities get triggered and rather settle into our deep roots to see what is true, we can help navigate ourselves and others towards more of that infinite possibility. So it's kind of fun and funny because I have created this video several times. And I want to share this because I think it's like, oh, this is a perfect example of kind of how grounding works day in and day out, and how we can be present to it and use this concept to help us establish our grounding again. So I got the new iPhone 12. And I was kind of excited to have a better camera because I felt like the camera that I've been using on my computer to do these is a little bit fuzzy and not as clear. So doing the video today, I set up the new camera, all this lighting, and I tested it out. And do I need the microphone for this? I probably spent a good 30 minutes or so just dealing with equipment. Now, equipment and technical stuff is not my wheelhouse. And I could feel as I was doing it and testing it, I could feel myself getting a little bit less grounded. But I really wanted to do it. So I sat down and I did it. I filmed it. And it was bizarre because I had several cuts and several retakes. And usually when I do these videos, it's been like a one shot, takes me 10 minutes. And it's really easy. What I noticed was, when I went to go upload the videos from my camera, there were like, all the different shots and set about doing the editing process. I noticed it wouldn't, there's iCloud storage. I couldn't get it converted. So I was, oh man, I'm going to have to redo it on the computer anyway. But I could feel that felt good anyway, because this is the way I've been doing it. No fancy equipment, just me getting to talk as if I'm talking to you guys. And I could feel my grounding settle. I could feel, again, a connection that I'm just here having a conversation with you. It might even be interesting to show you guys. I'll see if I can get that video edited and uploaded. If I can work around that issue, it might even be fun to show you the difference in that video, the difference of how we can find ourselves ungrounded. And so I offer this little example to point to the fact that in leadership and coaching, we lose our grounding all the time. And sometimes we don't even notice that we're losing it. And we can find it again because it's always there. So as we begin to go deeper in exploring this concept of grounding, I want to begin by having invite you guys to notice the times in your life when you saw something that was more true that helped you deepen your grounding. Maybe even just in your profession, when you started out, you were a little bit more nervous. There was more insecurity, more pressure, and you didn't have as much grounding. And then over time, sure, you had more experience that gave you more confidence, but I think it's more of the confidence, which is also innate. You could have had the confidence in the beginning, even though you maybe didn't do as good of a job. Kind of like if there's something that you like cooking that you didn't have the pressure to get better at. And so you had the confidence even when you weren't as experienced with it. So what are the places in your life that you've noticed your grounding deepen? And our grounding deepens the more truth we see about that situation, the more truth we see about cooking, what the physics of it are, what's really true fundamentally, the more we relax. What's really true about your career, you see more of that, the more you relax. We're specifically looking as leaders and coaches, the truth with a capital T that tends to deepen our grounding to increase impact exponentially is the truth around where our experience is really coming from, who we really are, which is that pure consciousness, universal intelligence, which gives us access to infinite possibility. The more you see truth about that, and the more the world looks that way to you, the more you're going to be cocking your eyebrow when clients and team members come to you with issues that seem really big, just won't look the same to you. And that alone makes such a significant impact. Looking forward to exploring more with you guys. See you soon. Namaste.